Battle City, the greatest arc in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe. I certainly think it's the greatest arc in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, and in this video, we are going to be ranking every single duel from the Battle City arc. Hello, everyone. It's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another video. We've done this for Duelist Kingdom, we've done this for the virtual world, and in this video, we will be ranking the 24 duels that took place during the Battle City tournament, starting with the duel between Kaiba versus the duel computer, and concluding with the battle between Yugi and Yami Marek. Without any further ado, let's jump right into it, and I hope you all enjoy. Number 24, Joey versus Red Jacket Duelist. I think the fact that Joey is dueling an unnamed character and we just refer to him as Red Jacket Duelist pretty much speaks for itself, but this duel honestly had no business interrupting the classic that was Yugi versus Kaiba during the Battle City arc. This is also a duel that takes place in a dream, and whether I should even count this or not is probably debatable, but we did see pretty much the entirety of it. It's a very boring duel, and every time it's on screen, you're just fast forwarding to get back to the riveting duel between Yugi and Kaiba. So yeah, I'm not even going to waste your guys' time talking about this one. It deserves to be at the bottom. Number 23, Mai versus Jean-Claude Magnum. I mean, do I even need to spend any time talking about why this duel belongs at the bottom of the list? The duel is incredibly quick. It's incredibly pointless. If Jean-Claude Magnum wins the duel, Mai will be forced to marry him, and the guy just sucks. Even after losing the duel, he tries to kidnap Mai, only for that plot to be foiled, and the guy is just a complete loser. And when you have a duel where a character is a one-off character and sucks, it's really never going to be a very memorable duel. Number 22, Kaiba versus the Duel Robot. So this is the duel that kicks it off, and it is the debut of an Egyptian god. So I understand that some people might think this duel deserves a little more credit, but I'll be honest. Yes, the Egyptian god summoning is awesome. It's incredibly wild to see Kaiba summon Obelisk for the first time, but he's literally dueling a duel robot. And with the direction the world is moving in, a very scary direction towards Gen AI and artificial intelligence, we might be reaching a point where this is a duel that is going to be very, very common. Hopefully not, but Kaiba ends up winning, thankfully. But yeah, it's a freaking duel robot. I mean, there's no real story here, and yeah, it's got a cool moment, but not cool enough to prevent it from being near the bottom. Number 21, Joey Wheeler versus Exodia Rare Hunter. So this one is actually really interesting. It kind of kicks off the Battle City formalities as Joey gets completely ambushed by this Rare Hunter in an alleyway and loses to Exodia, which is unbelievable. Honestly, it's a really shocking and really cool moment that I feel like does get overlooked. But from a dueling quality perspective, I mean, what are we talking about here? It's really just the appetizer for the Yugi Rare Hunter duel that we get in the very next episode, and this one deserves to be very low. Number 20, Bakura versus Bones. Well, in the original version, this duel has a really disturbing ending as Bones and his friends are dragged into hell and are literally never seen again for the remainder of the show, which heavily implies that they probably were legitimately killed here, which is terrifying. The duel itself, though, is really not memorable. I think the only thing people remember from this duel is the end of it and how creepy the entire atmosphere is, of course, concluding with Bones and his friends being literally dragged into hell. It's a very quick duel. It's very forgettable, but it does a great job to further the creepiness of Bakura's character. Yugi and Kaiba versus Rare Hunter Duo. Did you know in the original manga, this duo was a completely random duo, but the anime actually changed it to make this Umbra and Loomis, and much like the Joey versus Rare Hunter duel that we just went over, this duel also has one really cool summoning moment where Kaiba summons Obelisk the Tormentor and punches through Mirror Force to get the win, but it really does serve as an appetizer for the actual Yugi and Kaiba versus Umbra and Loomis duel that we get to into a little later on. And when these duels only have one significant moment and you're in an arc that is just as loaded as this arc is, it's not going to really bode well for the placement of that duel. Number 18, Joey versus Esperoba. Well, you know how stacked Battle City has to be because we have just started this list, and I actually like Joey versus Espa quite a bit, but I have it all the way down at 18th because there's just so many good duels in Battle City. This is Joey's true debut duel, if you will, in the Battle City tournament. After losing to the Exodia Rare Hunter, he tries to redeem himself, and he does in a duel against Esperoba. I liked that there was a side plot of Espa's brothers spying on the duelist cards and basically telling Espa what the opponent had in their hand in order for Espa to cheat. Also, the Jinzo nonsense with Roulette Spider is one of the funniest freaking things in this arc. This duel definitely has some redeeming qualities. Number 17, Yugi versus Seeker. So the Exodia Rare Hunter that took out Joey the episode prior now duels against Yugi, and what I loved about this duel is even though Joey was watching, it would have disqualified Yugi from the duel had he told Yugi what Seeker's strategy is. Now Yugi is a master gamer, so of course Yugi quickly realizes that Seeker is trying to summon Exodia. Yugi ends up baiting Seeker into summoning one of the pieces so he can use his chain destruction trap, which destroys every copy of that card in the opponent's deck, basically making the Exodia combination impossible to reach. Yugi ends up getting the win. We see Yami Marek take over Seeker. It's a memorable duel, but a little bit of a boring one comparatively to some of the other duels in this arc. Number 16, Yugi versus Kaiba versus Marek versus Joey. How does a duel with so much star power not deliver more than it did? I've never been the biggest fan of the method to get the semifinal matchups in Battle City. I felt like this duel was interjected with a lot of flashbacks as we had just gotten out of the virtual world arc, and I always felt like the pacing of this duel was really weird. It feels like the duel lasts forever. Not a lot of memorable turns and gameplay comes from it. And man, this duel really is just the interlude to what ends up being a string of incredible duels in the Battle City semis and the finals. Number 15, Joey versus Weevil. I'll be honest with you, I actually enjoyed this duel quite a little bit. I can't stand Weevil, and seeing the strategy of him planting a card in Joey's deck in order to give him a competitive advantage feels like perfect writing. It's something his character would do 10 times out of 10, and it just makes the viewer that much more angry and agitated at the situation. Luckily for us, Joey has the luck of the Irish and is able to turn the duel around against Weevil, thanks to Gearfried not being able to be impenetrated by the tentacles. There's some weird stuff that happens in this one, but I remember it's pretty entertaining, so I have it at 15th. Number 14, Joey versus Kaiba round 2. Well, I gotta tell you, since I did my video where I ranked all of the duels, this duel has dropped significantly. In fact, for this video, this is the steepest drop that any of the duels in Battle City have. Upon rewatch, I really am not a fan of this duel. For those that don't know, this is actually a filler duel and does not take place in the manga. And could you imagine if in the anime we went straight from Yugi versus Kaiba into Yugi versus Marek? I mean, talk about a peak arc getting even more peak. But instead, we get this weird third place matchup where Joey really never has much of a chance. I did like the moment where he summoned Blue Eyes onto his field. I feel like that was a pretty crazy moment, and to see Kaiba's anger was really, really fun. But ultimately, this duel, given the star power, I do feel is a bit disappointing. There's still enough quality, though, where I'll put it at 14th. Number 13, Joey versus Mako Tsunami. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are shocked I have this duel as high as I do, but this is actually my favorite Joey qualifier duel in Battle City. I always really loved the story between Mako and his father and the back and forth. I know there's a lot of empty turns. The dueling action isn't really great, and the fact that this duel is 23 turns and most of it is nothing really isn't a great thing, but one of my favorite moments is when Mako activates Return of the Doomed and special summons the legendary fisherman in order to keep his father's memory alive on the dueling field. I really liked Mako, probably more than most people, and I think that's why I have this duel maybe higher than most people would, but I think it's an average duel in Battle City, and so I have it at 13. Number 12, Marek versus Bakura. Well, I'll tell you what, now we are getting into the really good duels, and it should tell you how loaded Battle City is that this is only 12th. One of my favorite villain versus villain duels. Two of the best villains in the franchise square off in an unsanctioned duel atop the Kaiba Corp blimp. It's here that we see Yami Marek merge with the Winged Dragon of Ra for the first time and incinerate Yami Bakura and regular Marek. The duel is creepy. You don't know who to root for because these are two of the evilest SOBs in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! It is just a fun time. I really like this one a lot. Number 11, Yugi and Kaiba versus Umbra and Loomis. So one of my favorite memories of this duel is how the English dub changed it, where if the duelist's life points hit 0, they would fall through the roof and go into a Shadow Realm portal, whereas in the original, they would just simply fall to their death. There is a lot of fun moments in this one. Seeing Yugi and Kaiba, the dysfunctional relationship between the two of them, having to get over their differences and work together and trust each other is really enjoyable. And seeing the teamwork of Umbra and Loomis also starting to deteriorate in this duel was a really fun dynamic to see. Yugi and Kaiba eventually are able to get out Obelisk the Tormentor, and it is GG's when that happens. They end up getting the win. It's a fun duel, and it just misses out on the top 10 for Battle City. Number 10, Marek versus Mai. So I did a whole video on this recently about how this is probably the most censored duel in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime comparatively to the original manga. If you've never read this duel, read it. It is insanely effed up. And even in the anime, it was pretty crazy. This is Yami Marek's debut duel, so it made sense that they were going to really try to raise the intensity levels of this one to make him come off as a crazy bastard, and they do a really good job of doing that. Every time a duelist loses their monster, they lose a memory they have of a person. Seeing Mai overcome this thanks to the intervention of Yami Yugi was always a really fun moment. Mai even ends up summoning the Winged Dragon of Ra, but doesn't know how to get it out of sphere mode. This is the first time we formally see Ra summoned, seeing Joey run over to try to protect her, and then seeing Yami Yugi actually take the shot from Winged Dragon of Ra was insane. A lot of really memorable moments in this one. I have it at number 10. Number 9, Joey versus Odeon. This is a really tricky one because I have always loved the backstory we've gotten in this duel. I always loved the plot line that was going on, where mostly everybody felt like this was Marek, but then our characters started to realize that Odeon actually had a lot of like dignity and respect, and that was the opposite of what Marek had portrayed himself as. So people started realizing that something was off here. We've got great dramatic irony because we as the viewer know that this is not Marek, but rather it's Odeon. The ending is very controversial. I do not hate the ending as much as some people do, but I loved seeing the trap deck. I loved seeing the quote-unquote fake Winged Dragon of Ra get summoned, and Joey ends up standing, Odeon ends up fainting, Yami Marek gets released. It's a pretty crazy, controversial ending that sees Joey get his hand raised. Ultimately, I think it's a fun duel. If the ending was maybe a little better, it would be higher, but I still have it in the top 10. Number 8, Yugi versus Joey, round 2. Man, what is more Yu-Gi-Oh than a best friend being brainwashed by the main villain and having to duel our main protagonist, while both of their legs are chained to anchors, and the first duelist whose life points hits 0 or the time limit runs out will be dragged into the ocean and drown. Well, that is exactly what happens in the duel between Yugi and Joey in Battle City. I've always been a really big fan of this duel, seeing Yugi get through to Joey and break Marek's brainwashing, as well as letting little Yugi take over the duel to try and personally get through to Joey by communication, by words of affirmation, and of course, the trusted Red Eyes Black Dragon. It's really compelling. It's really heart-wrenching. It's got some great action, but man, Battle City is stacked, and so I have it at number 8. Number 7, Yugi versus Strings. So this one has certainly moved up quite a bit for me on my rewatch, and man, this is a duel that is really enjoyable. I think the presence of Slifer the Sky Dragon is absolutely incredible. And when Yugi is in Nightmare Steel Cage and Slifer is summoned, it is just a marvelous sequencing. And you're genuinely worried, how the hell is Yami Yugi going to turn this duel around? Well, thanks to his genius ability to use Revival Jam and Slifer's Second Mouth and the draw 3 cards effect, Yami Yugi realizes he can trap Strings in an infinite loop, probably the most iconic infinite loop in the entire history of the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise. Strings eventually decks out, Yugi claims Slifer. It's a magnificent win for him, and it's the 7th best in Battle City. Number 6, Kaiba versus Ishizu. Well, this is our second quarterfinal matchup on this list, as Joey and Odeon was number 9. Kaiba versus Ishizu is an absolute classic in Battle City. It probably has one of the most iconic Seto Kaiba moments. Ishizu has completely flipped the duel on its head as she activates a combo that swaps the duelist's graveyard with their decks. I believe Kaiba only had 6 cards left in his deck after this effect activated, but even with that, Kaiba is able to summon Obelisk to his side of the field, but of course, this is all according to plan. Ishizu knows that Kaiba was going to summon Obelisk, and she has Bomb Held by Attribute set on the field, which will activate when Obelisk attacks and cost Kaiba the duel. Well, what her Millennium Necklace did not predict is that Kaiba was willing to sacrifice God. Thanks to the intervention of the Millennium Rod, Kaiba ends up getting a message from Blue Eyes White Dragon and decides to follow it, tributing Obelisk and summoning the Blue Eyes White Dragon. It's one of Kaiba's coolest moments ever. This duel is so fun, and it comes in at number 6. Number 5, Yugi versus Arcana. I mean, listen, this is a top 10 duel in DM for me, and it's only number 5 on this list. That should tell you how many incredible duels there are in this arc. It's unbelievable. When you talk mirror matches, when you talk characters having basically the same decks, there is no duel that was better executed than Yugi versus Arcana. Who is the true master of the Dark Magician? The fact that they went so far as to give an alternate artwork for Arcana's Dark Magician that makes him seem more evil and red is really cool. And of course, you can't forget about the Dark Energy Discs. As soon as a duelist's life points hit 0, the Dark Energy Discs will make contact with their leg and send them to the Shadow Realm. Of course, this was the 4Kids censor job, as in the original. It was straight up blades, chainsaws that were going to cut off the legs of these duelists if they lost. What the hell? Thankfully, not only does Yugi win, but little Yugi takes over and is able to save Arcana. And oh yeah, Dark Magician Girl, awesome debut. This duel is so back and forth. The tension was there. The stakes were there. It's a masterpiece, but it only comes in at number 5. Number 4, Yugi versus Marek. I'm sure a lot of people were wondering where the final duel of Battle City would come in at, and for me, it comes in at a very respectable number 4. This matchup was built up forever, and we finally got to see it, and it does not disappoint. I love the Yami no game that was played here, as little Yugi and little Marek both were able to interact with each other, and the Yami counterparts as well. And of course, this would end up being a huge role, as Odeon is able to wake up and allows Marek to take control of his Yami side after Yami Marek is banished away by an obelisk, chokehold, and a Slifer wrap, as Ragnarok, which is a little weird because that's like Nordic mythology, is able to ascend Yami Marek and Ra to the heavens, and it's a great visual. Again, a little weird that it's like Nordic mythology. Also, the manga ending is a little different in this duel, which I actually think I prefer. Really great action. I mean, Yugi lands a direct hit with Obelisk, raises its attack to infinity, but neither of those are able to defeat Yami Marek. It was an amazing back and forth duel, and yeah, I really do like this one, but it's not my favorite in Battle City. Number 3, Marek versus Joey. Man, I know there's some people that do not like this duel because of the ending, but you know what? I am someone who has no problem with the ending at all. Marek was very clearly toying with Joey throughout this duel, wanting to inflict as much physical pain as possible, and this culminates in Marek attacking Joey's monster with the Winged Dragon of Ra in one of the most beautifully grotesque animated scenes in the entire freaking series. Yami Marek laughing, Joey actually surviving and hanging on, showing how tough of a duelist and a competitor he is, only to summon Gearfried and faint before calling the attack. I know there's some people, and I've seen all the takes over the years, that think this was a really, really poor ending, but I think it was very, very fitting given the infliction of damage that Marek caused throughout the duel. But man, Joey was close to winning. I give him a lot of credit. He's one of the toughest duelists out there. But Marek ultimately does enough to get the win in what is a very memorable duel. You have Lava Golem, you have Jinzo, you have Guilford the Lightning. Dude, it's a really good duel, and it ends in such a memorable way. Number 2, Yugi versus Bakura, round 2. All right, listen, I will admit something. I know that this duel probably shouldn't be as high as I rate it, but I really, really do not care. I think there are some incredible moments that happen in this duel, even beyond the epic Slifer summon, which, by the way, is not only my favorite Slifer summon in this show, it is my favorite Egyptian god summon in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. The first time that Yugi summons Slifer is a beautifully crafted, back against the wall, amazing, iconic Yu-Gi-Oh! Moment. But even before that, Bakura slow playing, Yugi getting the upper hand, destroying all of Bakura's monsters, only for Bakura to have said it was all a trap to summon Dark Necrofear. Yugi then getting over Dark Necrofear, only to learn that that was also a trap, so Bakura could play Dark Sanctuary and put this really creepy field spell out there. And then all of a sudden, because of the ghost of Dark Sanctuary, the entire duel started to change, and we realized, oh shoot, Yugi's actually in some trouble, which is unbelievable considering how much he dominated the early part of the duel. Bakura is very close to completing his Destiny board auto win combination when Yugi calls God. It is such a fun duel. It is such an enthralling duel. I think people overlook this one. I think people shouldn't overlook this one. I think it's the second greatest duel in all of Battle City. Number 1, Yugi versus Kaiba, round 3. I'm going to show you guys this thumbnail. I have a long video coming up. This coming Wednesday, November 19th, is the 23-year anniversary of when this duel concluded, and I will be doing a long, in-depth analysis on why not only this duel is the greatest in Battle City, but why this duel is the greatest in the entire franchise. These are the two most iconic characters in Yu-Gi-Oh! One of the greatest rivalries in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! All culminating to the Battle City semi-finals. It always felt like this was a three-stage duel. You had both of these duelists trying quickly to summon their Egyptian god. Then you had the phase where both of them had their Egyptian gods on the field. And then you had the post-Egyptian god phase where we see Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Dark Magician, Buster Blader, Blue Eyes White Dragon, all these iconic cards. We have the flashbacks to Egypt, which were really, really cool. And I know a lot of people talk about how they don't love how long the duel is, or they don't love how Joey and the red jacket duelists kind of intervene in this duel, and those are all fair points. But I'll tell you, there are multiple episodes of this duel that are just straight up dueling, straight up comboing, some of the most ridiculous and crazy combos you will see for that era of Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, you would think you were watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains with how much back and forth there are in the main phase and the battle phase and the end phase. It's just absolutely unreal. And then you have the culmination of the final 10 minutes where Kaiba is talking about how he needs to win to bury his past. And Yugi's explaining how anger is never something that you can use as motivation or should use as motivation. And it will always be weak if you do not embrace the past and acknowledge the past rather than trying to bury it. And Kaiba seemingly is going to get the win. He's so desperate for the win. And then Yugi activates Defusion. Fusion, cancel. I can hear those words in my head whenever I think of the end of this duel. Kaiba's Blue Eyes Ultimate splits apart. The battle phase comes to an end. And Yugi, thanks to diffusion wave motion, literally cuts the head off of Kaiba's dragons and gets the win in what is the greatest duel in all of Battle City. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see me talk about all 81 duels and rank all of those, I'll have that link down below. If you want to see me rank the Virtual World duels and the Duelist Kingdom duels, I'll also have those linked down below. Let me know which ones I got wrong here. Let me know some of your favorite Battle City duels. I would love to hear your lists down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the comments, and I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, guys.